Hi, how are you doing? Hi, Sachin, how are you doing?
Good, Shiv. So, hi, Tejas. That's Prasanji. He's the CMO for NTT-Netmagic. You should know very well, and I think.
Hi.
Giri, we are live. We can begin.
We can start?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Good afternoon. On behalf of CIO Leader and NTT-Netmagic and Google Cloud Platform, I welcome you to today's masterclass on accelerating your journey to the hybrid cloud. Thank you for joining us. We are now in an era where change is ubiquitous. Whether it's economic trends, customer needs, or business opportunities, the methods and techniques that worked successfully in the past are becoming less relevant and useful in today's environment. And technology has become an important driver of business success. However, the reality for the CIO is that enterprises need strategies that will enable the organization to leverage the benefits of new technologies while preserving the value and utility of existing on premise IT. One answer to this solution is the hybrid cloud architecture. Most CIOs understand that they need hybrid IT for a variety of reasons, whether it's flexibility, agility, access to new functionality, efficiency, costs, or compliance. But the challenge is to make the right decisions: who to partner with, what alternatives to consider, how to contract and manage the deployment, and how to make it a success. To shed more light on these aspects of the journey to a hybrid cloud, we have an array of experienced and knowledgeable speakers today. I urge you to listen to them attentively and benefit from their expertise and experiences. Before I invite our first speaker for today, there are two quick announcements for all delegates who are attending this session. The winners of the quiz will be announced at the end of the session. If you have participated in the quiz that was sent out, do await the list. You could have won a rupees 500 gift voucher. There is also a feedback form that will be mailed out to you at the end of this masterclass. Please do fill it out. Everyone who completes the feedback form will receive a JBL Bluetooth headset as a token of appreciation. Thank you. So with that, let me introduce our first speaker for today. He's Mr. Tejas Mehta, Chief Technology Officer of RBL Bank. In his current role, Mr. Mehta spearheads a team of 300 professionals who manage the infrastructure and application support, end user services, service management, IT security operations, projects, and the Center of Excellence for New Technologies at RBL Bank. Mr. Mehta has 25 plus years of work experience, and he has a lot of close interactions with top OEMs and partners to effectively execute complex, pioneering, industry recognized projects. Prior to RBL Bank, Tejas has worked with IIFL Group, Barclays Bank, Reliance Industries, and CMS Computers. During his distinguished career, Mr. Mehta has been felicitated with a number of industry awards for his innovation, acumen, and expertise in executing and delivering projects and services. Today, Mr. Mehta will draw on his knowledge and experiences in planning and implementing a hybrid cloud and talk about how to make suitable platform choices, select vendors, and manage the transition. Before I hand it over to Mr. Mehta, I would like to request everyone to please post your questions for him in the chat box. We will take them up at the end of the session. So welcome, and over to you, Mr. Mehta. You're on mute, sir.
Thank you, Giridhar. I'm just going to share my screen and hello everyone, good afternoon. Is my screen audible? Sorry, is my screen visible?
Yeah, we are able to see your screen. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so thanks Giridhar for setting the context. You've already introduced myself, so I don't need to speak anything about who am I. So I'll directly jump to the discussion about hybrid cloud journey. But before I go to hybrid cloud, as to what the hybrid cloud is about, the benefits, how you should start your journey, and etc., etc. Let me set some context with one or two slides. Nothing pretty everyone should know what those are, but I thought that should be the starting point. So let's start about some myths about cloud. You know, uh, we have been hearing on the cloud for several years now. Somewhere in late 2000, I would say, when the cloud all started in India. And we keep looking at a lot of advertisements, a lot of push from the OEMs that this is cloud, that is cloud, we are cloud ready, cloud is very easy, cloud is cheap. So there are a lot of such statements that we keep hearing these days. But what are the facts? What are the ground reality? That's something that I'm trying to bring out in this slide. So these two pictures that you see, it says that I am uploading everything to cloud. I'm pretty sure that's how. And the other guy says it's not the way to do it. But anyways, so let's talk about some key myths. We keep hearing this, that the cloud is very cheap and it saves a lot of money. Well, this is very, very subjective statement, and I must say that if someone is telling you with the confidence that the cloud is always cheap, that is definitely not right. It's very subjective, as I said, and it totally depends on your use case. Let me give you an example. If you are moving your long-term infrastructure, maybe a very high-end database server from the on-premises to a cloud for a very long time, that's not going to be a cheap option for you. At the same time, if you have if you are carrying out some proof of concepts, you have some test environment that you wanted for a shorter period of time, then cloud is definitely going to be cheaper for you rather than investing in your own data centers. So as I said, it's a very subjective statement and misleading statement. The second most common thing that we keep hearing is people saying no, cloud is not safe. At the same time, people saying no, cloud is very safe. You would hear this being cloud very safe from a lot of OEMs, but again, there is no right and wrong answer. It has got two sides, and I'm going to speak on that. So one side says that, and one side is the facts. I mean, I'm just trying to put the facts around. So one side, if we look at security breaches are not zero in the cloud. I mean, we do hear compromises in the cloud, but there are very few in the public cloud world compared to what happens with the corporates or your private data center. So that's whether we like it or not, that's a fact. But as I said, these are not zero. Cloud provider invests significant amount of their money protecting the clouds, otherwise they will be out of the business. So they better invest into a lot of security aspects, and they have their own security experts monitoring their cloud day in, day out, 24/7. And as I said, if they don't, then they will be out of the business. So this is one side of the story. The other side is, does it mean that the public cloud becomes guarantee? Is there a guarantee that it becomes foolproof? The answer is no. Why? Because when you buy cloud instances, as an example, when you buy infrastructure as a service, if you want to take an example, cloud provider only gives you infrastructure on their cloud. Now, what do you do with their infrastructure if you expose that infrastructure to the public internet? And if you don't set the security protocols right, you are still going to be at a risk. So it's while the service provider protects its entire cloud platform, but your own infrastructure, you have the responsibility to protect it. So you really can't make a statement that once I move to cloud, I'm completely safe from the security point of view. So it's a shared responsibility. That's what my bullet today says. So let's not assume that they are not secure, but at the same time, don't make an assumption that they are completely secure. So it's both the sides. So nothing is absolutely wrong and nothing is absolutely right. It's a balanced one. The third myth is that once I move to cloud, I'm done. It's not right. In fact, once you start the cloud journey, it's just the beginning, because no organization can or will move to the cloud overnight. Everyone will take a baby step because every environment is unique. So everyone will take a baby step. They will see what happens. is the cloud suitable for them? Are they getting the benefits for the business goals and not? And then you take further steps. So it's when you start your journey, it's just the beginning. So it's not that once I move to cloud, everything is done. There are many things that one can do with the cloud, be it the infrastructure. So the typical journey, as I've shown, is you start your journey typically from infrastructure as a service. If you are moving your on-premises workloads to cloud. If you are a newborn company and you are going on cloud from the day one, that's a different thing altogether. But typically, the journey starts infrastructure as a service, then you move as a SaaS platform, you move to a DaaS platform, which is database as a service, you move to platform as a service. When you start utilizing these functionalities of cloud, you can say that you are actually making an extremely good use case of a cloud. Otherwise, simply moving your infrastructure from on-premises to cloud as an IaaS for a long term, that's not a good way to look at the cloud. One should also understand the different models of clouds as to what they offer versus the realistic expectations that we have. So as I said, it's when you start your journey with the cloud, it's just the beginning. It's not, it's your done. Next myth, cloud should be used for everything. Absolutely not. It is good fit for certain workloads, like your websites, your public facing websites, or non-core applications, self-services as mentioned. But it may not be good for all. There could be workloads like extremely heavy databases or some very confidential data. You may not want to move to cloud from the day one. But don't be afraid to propose non-cloud workloads. In the organization, what happens is when you say no, these workloads I'm not moving to cloud. You always have a fear that what will the organization say, or my boss will say, or the CEO or the CFOs will say. So why are you not moving to cloud? Don't be afraid. If certain workloads are not the right candidate to move to cloud, so be it. Don't move it. So that's what the cloud is not to be used for everything. There is no thumb rule that everything should go to cloud. We need one cloud strategy or vendor. I would say it will be wish for every CIOs and CTO to have just one cloud partner or one cloud OEM to do everything for you, but that's unfortunately not the reality. Every cloud in India or across the globe has certain things which are common to all, but there are certain things which are unique to them. So as and when your business needs increases, you end up signing up with the second or the third cloud provider also. So you need to understand what features, what functionalities, what products do they offer, what are the flavors, which suits you the most, and accordingly you need to make a choice. But I don't think so. You can really make a strategy that I will have only one vendor to do everything for an organization. So the best thing is make optimum of each vendor. So I've just picked up some 5-6 myths versus a fact to clarify how cloud should be used, what the cloud is, whether it is cheap, not cheap, from security aspects now. Let me move to my second slides. Just a quick journey of how things have evolved. I'm sure pretty much all of you know how things have evolved, but just to set another context. So we all have seen in our earlier years, we used to have small server room. We never used to call it as a data center. We used to call it as an IT room or an MIS room and a server room. That was our pretty much on-premises setup, which then moved to hosting out our infrastructure to the third party, which is where we have data centers like Sifi, Tata, NetMagic, Airtel, and plenty of them. And then, of course, cloud as a technology evolved, and public cloud started, private cloud started, and out of these, then the hybrid cloud took a birth. And today a lot of organizations are onto hybrid cloud. There are plenty of organizations which are completely cloud, but again, as I said, that's purely dependent on your use case. There are companies like Ola, Ubers, Flipkart, all these e-commerce who are completely on cloud because they started their business in the digital era and they decided to go onto the cloud from the day one. They didn't have any legacy, so it was very easy for them to go completely to the public cloud, but that's not the case for everyone. And public cloud, as I said, offers a couple of flavors like infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, and all that. So this is a quick snapshot of what it was and what it is as of now. So the question is, what is the right choice? How do I decide whether I should remain on-prem, I should go completely public cloud, I should do hybrid, I should do private cloud? So let's look at a couple of scenarios. When you are on premises or you are hosted at a third-party location, this is typically legacy for majority of the organization. As I said, if you are a newborn organization and you have moved to cloud from the day one, that's a different thing. But otherwise, majority of the organization has a legacy. They have their own data centers, they have their old infrastructure and a lot of stuff. The typical challenges, and this is nothing new, as I said, this is like the typical traditional challenges that we all face, is you have to keep pumping money in your own data centers, or even if it is hosted, but you have to keep pumping your money in buying hardware, you have to refresh your softwares and licenses, storages, and all that stuff. Scalability, no organization will have a perfect technology team who are very good or very accurate in doing the capacity management and the scalability forecast. Though we take the business projections and we buy extra hardware and softwares and storages to manage the capacity, you can't still do accurate. If the business doesn't grow, then you are underutilizing your capacity. So all these become very challenging. The most important thing is the uptime management. Yeah, you are 24/7 on. You have to keep worrying as server goes down, network goes down. So uptime really becomes a key challenge. Whether you are you have your own technology team or you have outsourced, skills development and retention is going to be a challenge, because whether you hire people from the market or the third party hires for you, it's ultimately the same industry in same country from where you are hiring the resource and the skill. That's always going to be a challenge. So this is one part of the on-prem and hosted. Public cloud, as I said, unless you are newborn, or completely web-based, if you are not on the cloud, then you are either on-prem or hosted. Do I migrate completely to cloud? That's the a common question that we all have, that okay, we want to move to cloud, but what do we do? Do we move entirely? Well, entirely moving to cloud, not an easy task, because it then calls for the entire architectural change, because the legacy and infrastructure architecture that you have for several years, it calls for a complete drastic change. Extremely high cost. The simple reason is public cloud is an OpEx model. It's a recurring cost model. So your OpEx increases drastically. So that is another major factor. And because of the regulations and compliance, you may not be able to move everything to cloud. So that's the public cloud typical challenges that comes. So what makes more sense? Why hybrid cloud? Hybrid cloud brings best of all. So hybrid is nothing but, as I said, it's a combination of private cloud or the on cloud and the public cloud. The on-prem can be the on-prem physical world or the virtual world or the private cloud, and with the public cloud. So private plus public is what your hybrid is. So it basically brings in the advantages of both. That's where the main, that's where all organizations are now taking use of the hybrid cloud. They can't move completely to cloud. They don't want to remain completely on-prem. So they are basically partly on-prem, partly on cloud. And that's one of the reason hybrid clouds are now becoming quite popular. And it's becoming choice of many organizations. So how do I manage? So if I decide to go to cloud, hybrid or whatever way, how do I take care of my legacy infrastructure, licenses, investments that I have done? So every technology head or CIO, CTO would want or would dream to have everything on the new technology platform, which is next to impossible. It only remains a dream. As I said, it's a dream. It can't become a fact, because over a period of time, you have done a lot of investment. These investments are recurring in nature. Every 3 years, 4 years, you either refresh your servers or the licenses are bought because licenses have expired. So investment keeps going on. At the point in time when you decide to move to cloud, you really cannot scrap all your investments. So how do we tackle this situation? And these are the typical questions that we have: what to do with the legacy infrastructure and investment? What do I do with the on-prem licenses? Will it go to waste? And what do I move to cloud and what do I retain on-prem? These are some of the tips. These are not a yes/no type of an answer, right? Again, it depends from organization to organization. But under this situation, the best thing is to use the legacy infrastructure for maybe creating dedicated UAT test or development environment, because you don't want to throw away those investment which is maybe done most recently. But there will be, I'm sure, some infrastructure which are almost towards end of the life. Those maybe you can retire or plan to retire. And infrastructure hungry workloads can be migrated to newer technologies, fast technologies, which gives you more IOPS, more speed, like HCI technology. But this is more of an on-prem stuff that I'm talking. And a lot of OEMs now give you license portability. For example, if you're moving to Azure Cloud, and if you have on-prem licenses, they do give you some portability. They do give you the license permissions to use the same license on the cloud also. So there are license portability which one should use. And that's how you should manage your transition to cloud. Benefits of hybrid cloud. As I said, best of both the worlds. Unless you have clear-cut needs, which is either fulfilled by private or public or on-prem solution, you should not limit your options. Choose a hybrid cloud, because then you can tap the advantages of private and public cloud, as I just mentioned in my previous slide. Temporary processing capacity needs. A lot of organizations get into testing mode, proof of concepts mode, small development piece, but these are short-term workloads that are needed. Allocate public cloud resources for short-term project like this, because that will lower down your cost. Otherwise, you would have invested into buying a physical hardware, and that hardware will always remain with you. You really can't sell it back. So either you buy it and book it on your books, and it is a capex. But rather than that, buy the public cloud for maybe 15-20 days, 1 month, and once you are done, you just get out of it. There is no commitment on the public cloud, as we all know. Quick response to the needs and improved scalability. Scalable workloads. When I say scalable, you really want to scale up fast or scale down fast as per the business demand or the market demand. You want to go, basically business wants faster go-to-market time. Under these cases, public cloud really becomes much faster, much advantageous. So you have your databases still on-prem, but your web servers, your application servers, which are, you can scale up horizontally, vertically, are on the public cloud. The public cloud spinning up the virtual instance anytime you want is much faster. So you are making use of the cloud as well as the on-prem, and that is where hybrid cloud becomes very important for you. Quick horizontal growth, I already spoke about this. So these are the couple of advantages of the hybrid cloud. Now, what to move and what to retain. So what can go to cloud typically? Again, this is not any patthar pe laki. This is like a more of a guidelines stuff. Dynamic workloads, which are variable in nature, can easily go to cloud. Let me give you an example. I used to work for a broking firm before, and broking firm has, my CEO then used to say that it's so sensitive. The technology is so critical, even compared to bank. When you go to a bank and you are on the cash counter, you want to withdraw cash. The teller tells you that my systems are down, wait for 5 minutes. Of course, it's a loss to your 5 minutes. You will wait for 5 minutes. But in the broking market, 5 minutes is a direct monetary loss, because in 5 minutes, the market can go up and down. So the uptime of the technology there to million microseconds is so critical. During the market hours, when the market open at 9:15, there is always a load on the market. During the closure hours, which is 3:30, again, there is a load on the systems, because that is the time a lot of orders are placed, a lot of soda happen. So this is a variable load, one type of variable load. Then you take an example of budget days, election days, some major political movement happening in the market. Again, it affects the market, and it directly affects the technology load, and that's another variability. In the banking sector that I am in, month end, quarter end, year ends, increases the load on the platform. And frequent or automated ramp up, ramp down types of workloads. So all of these things can easily go to cloud. Workloads with shorter life, as I covered in my previous slide, the test and development environment, or proof of concept, which only requires workloads for shorter time. All of these things go to cloud. What can remain on on the premises? Dedicated UAT test development environment, which is going to remain with you for a long time, can remain on-prem. Core databases, sensitive data, all of these can remain on premises. Some of the workloads which require a lot of fast processing, maybe we can move it to HCI, and we use HCI a lot. So just don't look at the TCO. We have a habit of saying, okay, if I move to cloud, what's the cost? Because these are the typical questions asked by our finance or the CFO guys. But I would say just don't look at the TCO. Look at the variability, dynamic needs, and the user experience. And let me correlate this as to what I'm trying to say. If you look at only the TCO, and on the other side, if your workloads are dynamic in nature and variable in nature, as I said, what will you choose with? If you only worry about the cost but not the variability, that's going to impact your user experience directly. So between both cost and user experience, I'm sure nobody will say I will save my cost at the user experience cost, because otherwise you lose your customer. So don't look at the TCO only. That's what the message is. Cloud players in India, let me just quickly take you through. So we have plenty of cloud players, of course, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft being the global players, and of course, IBM. And plus, there are many local players, international data centers, international cloud players, and there are many coming up. Google, Amazon, IBM, Microsoft, all of them by now have their own data center in India, predominantly because of the regulations, compliance, and all that stuff. So they have pretty much data centers in Bombay, Chennai, Delhi, Noida, and all those places. And they all provide different type of services. Of course, they have a lot of services which are common to all, but they have many other specific USPs to their cloud offerings. Choosing a cloud partner. Now, it may sound, or a lot of partners who say, oh, cloud movement is very easy. At the same time, I would say it's not that complicated that one should really worry about it. But choosing a right partner is very key to success, because here you're not buying an outsourcing partner who's going to do your mundane job, start of the day process and at the end of the process. There is much more than a mundane job. That's the reason choosing a partner, a right partner, becomes very, very critical. Let me give you some tips as to how you should, and I've personally followed this choosing a partner in my past organization. You want to look at the partner's expertise versus organization's expectation. You should know what the organization is expecting by you moving to cloud, and whether partner has the expertise to take you to reach to that goal. So is there a match or not? That's one important aspect. Do they have the right skills? Are they future ready? That's another aspect. Look at their track records, their use cases with the organizations. What have they done other than a mundane job? What value have they done? Don't onboard a partner to do a mundane job, as I said. Rather, who will get you value from the cloud? Because cloud, if you just remain as infrastructure as service, as I said, you are really not doing anything to the cloud. Then better you be on the on-premises. So look at those. Look at the partner not to do a mundane job, because once you move to cloud, you really don't have to worry about whether my network card is updated with the latest driver, whether I have the latest hardware or not. So all these things are taken care of by your cloud providers. You should only focus on how do I extract maximum value from the cloud. Set the expectation with the partner as to what you want, and before even you communicate to the partner, you should be clear as to what you want the cloud to do for you, and whether that partner is fit to basically work with you to achieve your goals. Engage on outcome-based model. We have typically seen scope of work where we write, okay, you will do these 10 things, you will come at 10 o'clock, you will at 6 o'clock. Those days are gone. We have also seen the contracts with the SLA that, okay, if my cloud uptime is not this, I'll penalize you. I would say even those days have gone. I mean, still there, SLA-based contract. Focus on the outcome-based. And I remember I had signed up a contract in my past organization where we had just moved on-premises a bigger portfolio to cloud. And then the challenge was, how do I fine-tune my application? How do I rewrite my codes to make application or the cloud reduce my cost drastically, and that is how we made a choice of the cloud partner, and we really could achieve that what we wanted. So engage the partner on the outcome based model rather than the traditional models, and align the outcome with organization and business goals. So what your business goals are, or what your organization goals are, those are your outcomes. Those are the ultimate results that you want. Align those with the partner's scope of work or partner's expectation. How do you evaluate a partner? So the question is, how do I select the right partner? Look at a couple of things, like how old is the firm? They have been in existence in the domain for how many years? Look at the profile of the founders. There have been companies, and if you go to Pune, every third or fourth shop you will find in the technology zone, you will find is a cloud provider. But what you really need to look at is, what's the profile of the founders? Are they really from the technology background? Do they really understand cloud very well? Look at the profile of the key people, and this is what we had done. I had done in my past organization. We actually went there to their office. We met the key people to know what their skills levels are, what is their interest level, and young enthusiastic people. I mean, the company that I'm referring to. So look at those things. A lot of cloud partners will say, "Oh, we work with every possible cloud on the earth." I would say that may not be possible, because everyone having expertise in Google and Azure and AWS. I'm not saying not possible, but every partner will definitely have some inclination to work with one or two of the cloud providers, because that is where their expertise are. So look at what specialization do they have, which cloud do they specialize. So if you sort of have decided, for example, to go on AWS, and if you are engaging a partner who's more specializing on Azure, for example, maybe that's not the right choice. Look at their active client list. A lot of times what happens is they show plenty of logos, but out of that, few of the logos are already the past or they are the history. So you should ask for the active client list, who are actually active in their list, and do the reference check. Now, reference check, you may ask customers reference check, or you may talk to them through your references, but do the reference check and ask smart questions as to what's your experience, what value add they did. And this really helps you a lot in basically finalizing a partner to say, okay, he's a good partner of me, or sorry, he's not a good partner for me. Look at the type of engagements that he has with the clients. Is he just doing a routine job, or has he done something really creative? Those are the value adds that you should look at, what he has deployed at the client base. And of course, I mean, none of the OEM will tell you which is a good partner, because for them, partner is a partner. But you can try your luck asking the OEMs whether what's their impression about a specific partner. And of course, look at the support structure. Do they have 24/7 SOC, and how many people are there in the night hours, depending on what your needs are. Again, so these are the typical evaluation criteria that I have personally used. So I thought I'll just share a slide on that. So concluding slide. Have a written cloud strategy with outcomes aligned with business goals. If you don't have your clear cloud strategy, you will end up into a trouble. Ask yourself why you want to go to cloud. What is that going to benefit you? So while writing the strategy, these are the why, how, what questions you need to ask yourself and make your strategy. Don't get impressed with marketing slides which says we are cloud ready. Every OEM or every hardware vendor these days that you meet, they always market saying that we are cloud ready, we are on cloud. But what? Just ask, double click and ask, what do you mean by cloud? Just don't get impressed. Don't blindly follow the others. Know your need and appetite. Just because one organization has moved and I'm in the same industry, I should also move. Well, not necessary. Don't follow others blindly, I would say. Know your need, your appetite, and then decide to move. Move incrementally to cloud at your own pace. There is no competition. We don't have to really pass a university exam that, 4 years my engineering khatam karna hai. No. Move at your own pace, incrementally. The initial, as I said, you must take baby steps to know how your organization is behaving to the cloud. Are you getting the value of it? And then maybe you can speed up your journey. Derive best of hybrid cloud benefits for, these are something that I already spoke, the flexibility, scalability, rapid growth. If you are not going to achieve this, then maybe something is wrong. So just look at these benefits that you should get out of the hybrid cloud. right contender for hybrid cloud, as I said, is the variability in volume, short duration setup, and new tech trials, which are like the proof of concepts. And of course, the cost optimization. These days, now the cloud offer you a billing which is just not day basis or weekly basis. They offer you hourly, day wise, I think minutes and second wise billing also. So understand all these models before you sign up with any cloud. They also give you drastic discounts if you sign up for 3 years or 4 years. But otherwise, cloud is, as we all know, is like today I need and tomorrow I can exit. So there is no lock-in in the cloud as such. I just covered, there's no lock-in in the cloud otherwise. Know your responsibilities after moving to cloud. My first slide said that, once we move to cloud, we think, oh, everything is done. No, absolutely not. Your responsibility doesn't end there. So know your responsibility as to what cloud provider is going to provide you as a service and what your responsibility still remains after moving to cloud. Choose the right partner. As I said, this is going to be very, very important because when you start your cloud journey, you may start your journey with Google, for example. After some time, you may realize that I have certain requirements which is fulfilled by AWS. So you'll have another cloud partner. So choosing a cloud partner is very, very important to the cloud journey. And yeah, that's it. I'm done. So I'm done, Giridhar.
Yes, thank
so all
you.
the session was.
Thank you. That was a very, you can say, very interesting and provocative talk by Mr. Mehta, and for lots of practical and strategic insights which have been provided. I'm sure all the participants in this session will find this very useful, and I can see there are a number of questions that have been posted. So please continue to post your questions. We will take them all up at the end of the session once all the speakers have completed their talks. Meanwhile, let me go over to our next speaker. He's Mr. Romin Irani, who's partner engineer at Google Cloud. Romin's role involves supporting and enabling partners on the portfolio of solutions available through the Google Cloud platform. Romin is a technical expert. He has more than 25 years of experience in software development and solutioning. And today he will be speaking about the Google Cloud platform and how you can use the various solutions to implement a successful hybrid cloud strategy. So over to you, Romin.
Thank you, Giridhar. Please confirm with me if you're able to see my
Yes,
screen.
I'm able to see you. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're great.
Yeah. So thanks for the introduction, and thank you to Tejas for giving us an overview in terms of what the cloud, especially hybrid cloud, brings to the table, and then of course how you should choose your cloud provider and the different features. My talk right now will focus on some of the key features that make Google Cloud different, and also I'll talk a bit in terms of how we are enabling the whole hybrid model to come to life in a much more efficient manner via Anthos. So let's get started. So first up, right, I would just like to dive straight into some of the key differentiators that we have on Google Cloud. So first up, security is there in everything that we do. The whole purpose-built infrastructure, the global network that we have is built, from security right from grounds up, and it goes across all layers, starting from custom hardware chips to the operations, services, and much more. Plus, as you know, it's a terrific amount of investment that we are putting in security to ensure that your applications are secure, and we give you the right tools, both from monitoring aspect, audit aspect, as much more, so you can really safeguard what you have over there. The next one, which is more pertinent to this talk, is the whole hybrid and multi-cloud strategy. And over here, we want to give customers a choice. And by choice, it's all about running the workloads that you believe should be there on premise. So make use of the best services that we have in public cloud, but yet utilize open services, ease the whole operations aspect of it, including streamlining security policies, operations, and much more. So I'll talk about the hybrid multi-cloud when I touch upon Anthos later on. When it comes to fully managed no-ops, here we are talking about making the experience as easy as possible for you. So when we talk about fully managed no-ops, and especially if you've also heard the word serverless at times, over here the premise is that let the cloud provider take care of all the tasks that are responsible for managing, running the infrastructure. You focus on your app, let us handle the infrastructure and scale it out for you as you want to need it. And AI ML is there almost in everything that we do today. So while you've been sort of exposed to that in some of the consumer applications, you will also see that we are bringing some of these elements into our cloud also. So whether it's assistive recommendations and things of that nature, we are sort of bringing it right into the platform itself. And again, best of Google. So we've got an entire portfolio of product companies. So any kind of tools and other things that we are sort of building out for our own use internally, eventually using the open source model, we open this out for everyone else also to use it. So no matter what the size of your organization is, you can start taking advantage of it. These were key differentiators. But let's also talk about this entire network that we have in place that today powers most of the popular consumer apps that you know about from Google. Imagine this is the same platform, the infrastructure that is available to you when you too run your apps on Google Cloud. So over here, like any other cloud provider, we're also providing our services in multiple regions and zones in the world, as you can see, again, backed by one of the largest private networks that you see out there. Again, all of this is secure by design. Encryption is available both at rest and in transit. Plus, we understand that data is sensitive. We completely understand that. And we want to make sure that we have the right kind of controls in place. For example, we provide the DLP or redaction, whereby sensitive data is protected as it moves into the cloud and so on and so forth. Moving forward, right? Over here are a few sort of steps, or I would say areas, where we believe that you don't stop just because you move to the cloud. So it's not just saying that I would just like to have some commodity, hardware, or you can say virtual machines in the cloud. So while we let you move to the cloud, so if you're looking at a lift and shift kind of operation, yes, we provide you a like for like. So what it means is we provide you the VMs of the right vCPUs and RAMs that you may require.
Robin,
Yes.
may I request you to speak a little louder, please? Some people are having difficulty hearing your voice.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah. So over here on this slide, what we want to say is that your journey doesn't end just because you wanted to provision a few VMs and get working on the cloud. But we are saying that while you do move some of these workloads to the cloud, we give you the like for like. So here what we mean is that when it comes to virtual machines, giving you the vCPU and RAM, we provide that to you. But once you're on the cloud, you can still start optimizing further. So that's where our custom machine types come in. So depending upon the vCPUs, RAMs precisely that you want. So we don't let you sort of do over provisioning and thereby result in extra costs for you. We also allow you long-term commitments in terms of our sustained as well as committed use discounts. Plus, if you're running big data workloads, preemptible VMs is another great way by which you can consistently save on cost. Plus, what we have, what you see in the last point, is an ongoing right sizing. So we look at the way you're utilizing your current infrastructure that you provision in terms of CPU memory utilization, and we can actually even propose to you a downsizing whereby you will still continue to get the same performance, but it can also result in a slightly lower machine type, thereby saving you cost. Now, coming to the aspect where there are many organizations today who are looking at, utilizing the cloud or are embarking on their digitization efforts. They're trying to use newer technologies, coming up with newer business applications, so on and so forth. So while these organizations are completely, sort of going towards newer areas, it's legacy applications that can sometimes hold them back. So these legacy applications, require a lot of effort on part of those organizations to keep maintaining it. Even sometimes the smallest of changes that you may want to do require a large amount of effort. Plus, if you look at the security and ops side of things, just managing these legacy apps vis-a-vis consistent security policies, quality of service controls, etc., becomes a challenge. So what we were looking for, and this is something that we've done across the last 2 decades, is how do we give some of the best of what the cloud offers today that you can start doing on a consistent basis on your premise itself. I'll come to that in a while. But we have been sort of moving towards that as an industry, if you've been noticing. So with the advent of containerization, we've got a common way by which we can build, deploy, and release our applications. Now, as these containers grow, we understand there is a need for orchestration. So that's where Kubernetes is something that we gave out to the world in the form of open source. We have a fully managed offering, GKE available. So that has been the beginning of the shift, right, by the industry to see, is there a common way by which I can build, deploy, release apps so that it becomes consistent in the way I can sort of do my application development and still do it at the kind of efficiency that I want to get at. So what we found, and I'll come to Anthos in a while, and that's pretty much our hybrid solution over here, is that organizations are primarily looking at how do they manage these operations consistently, how do they have security policies consistently, how do they speed up their whole ability to build and release applications. And we found that prior to Anthos, this is a challenge, but with Anthos we are beginning to see now that they're able to sort of normalize on a common platform. So again, from a container point of view, being able to have these clusters running both on-premise, in our cloud, even other clouds, but still being able to manage it in a consistent manner. So this has been about 2 decades of sort of running internal inside of Google applications run by different teams using different languages, technology stacks, etc., but still having a common orchestration platform no matter where they want to run it. So Anthos, which is our platform of choice, which we believe organizations should be sort of looking into a lot more, is all about ensuring that you can manage your applications from a single control plane of grass, no matter where they may be running. It could be on-premise, it could be in the public cloud, it could be even on other clouds too. The whole idea over here is that it should be based on a software stack. It should not be doing any kind of a lock-in, so obviously based on open source technologies, and thereby from this single plane, being able to control organization-wide security policies, pushing services to different clusters, managing these clusters, just unify and simplify those whole operational aspects over there too. So that's pretty much what we have in terms of our Anthos offering. So as you can see from this diagram, it's managed Kubernetes, but where you may need it. So it could be in Google Cloud. These clusters could be running in other public cloud providers like AWS, Azure, even on-premise, edge locations, and so on. But what you see on the top right is basically this single unified control plane. Look at all these workloads in a single consistent manner. Provision services on these workloads via the single control plane. Just manage the end-to-end observability also. We've got our Stackdriver or Operations Suite product line. So we are moving towards this world where organizations still want to retain control over which workloads they want to move to public clouds. They may still be using multi-cloud too for services that they are pretty much invested into in other clouds too. But still, due to compliance, security, and many other reasons, still continue to run some workloads in a hybrid fashion. So Anthos sort of brings this vision to reality and lets you do everything from a single plane. To summarize, I also wanted to let you about the adoption that enterprises have made of Google Cloud. So you find it across geographies and domains, and specifically wanted to stress upon the financial services where we have seen a good adoption of Google Cloud. And thereby it shows that even these firms which have got the most stringent of requirements are considering Google Cloud and even other clouds for that matter for running some of the most critical workloads. That's what I had from myself today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Robin, for providing a very succinct overview of the Google Cloud platform, and particularly the Anthos platform for implementing a hybrid cloud kind of deployment. I'm sure many of the delegates who are attending will be very interested in the wide portfolio of features and functionalities that is available from the platform. May I request everyone to post any questions for Robin in the chat box, and we'll take it up at the end of the session. Meanwhile, to provide more information on the GCP portfolio, applications, and services, we have Mr. Girish Sharma, Product Line Head for Cloud Services with NTT-Netmagic. To quickly introduce Girish, he has more than 10 years of work experience and has been with NTT-Netmagic since 2010. His areas of expertise are cloud computing and infrastructure solutions, And over the years, he has worked with a number of prestigious clients to implement a variety of cloud solutions. So in his presentation today, Girish will cover what are CIOs looking for in hybrid cloud solutions, the strategies to deploy and optimize hybrid environments, and the cloud services that are available from NTT-Netmagic. So over to you, Girish.
Thank you, Giri. Am I audible? And I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, your screen is visible. You are perfectly audible.
Okay. So thank you so much. It's my privilege to be here on this platform along with Mr. Tejas and Romin. So I think hybrid IT, you really heard about our earlier from our earlier speakers, all the challenges. So what I'm going to bring into perspective is we at NTT-Netmagic, we are actually helping enterprises out there embrace hybrid IT. How I want to quickly introduce is that, a recent survey told us that 63% of IT organizations are already into hybrid IT. And even the remaining 37%, out of that, 54% already have a plan to move to hybrid IT. So that's what points to me that nearly 81% are either planning or already in the hybrid IT. So there has to be something, why market is moving in this direction. And you really heard, in the very first presentation itself, how do you evaluate it and what is the way forward? There are many benefits which hybrid IT by default actually, brought on the table for people to exercise. That varies from a cost benefit to an increased time to market, or you got a variability in terms of on-demand available capacity, or even if you want one more flexible deployment model for your applications, right? We heard about a lot of challenges today in the very first presentation, and I find it very practical, because you heard from Mr. Tejas, who has been doing it on ground. We at NTT-Netmagic, we actually, you heard one perspective today from one particular industry, and very, very important perspective. We work with a variety of customers, and we understand that, every enterprise, given into their challenges, given into their applications, they have a variety of environment. And that's where, when we look at hybrid IT, it is interchangeably used by people. Along with multi-cloud strategy, it is interchangeably used by IT organizations to cater to a variety of workloads that they are having. We at Netmagic, while helping IT organizations out there embrace hybrid IT and all its benefits, all I can tell you is that, the overall strategy might be as variable as starting from a bare metal to supporting a container. Right. And we at Netmagic, that's where, when we are actually engaging with such a variety of customers, they should have a flexibility to evaluate that which approach works for them. You heard in the very first presentation that, you have to embrace that combination of the two, the best of both the worlds. And that's where, we see a lot of organizations having legacy applications, or for the want of application performance, they might want to stick to one particular format of IT infrastructure, right? So that's where for hybrid IT, for us, start with a journey where we should be flexible enough to cater to each and every type of organization, to help them evaluate pros and cons of each and every approach. And that's where I see that we are able to support bare metals, then we are able to support private cloud for our customers on premises. Then we are a cloud partner with GCP here. And, we know that, how do people are able to leverage best of both the worlds from their private clouds to GCP, or even by leveraging their own standalone bare metals. And yes, as Roman covered in his presentation, how container as a service, even using Anthos, is giving you new avenues to even further dig deeper into your DevOps environment. What we have done is, while bringing hybrid IT on ground, you heard that the challenges are not only selecting which infrastructure, because it is not an infrastructure decision. Basically, hybrid IT is actually, I might say, a business decision, or you might want to qualify it as a digital transformation decision, right? Of course, digital transformation has to be clubbed with the business KPIs there you want to stick to. What we do is, in order to meet your requirements, hybrid IT should be facilitated with a managed service, so that not only you are migrating to, you are able to support it on a continuous basis. You need to have security services so that you can have a compliant, uniform security policies. Can you easily migrate from one format to another without getting logged in is also a perspective of your hybrid IT. So that's where we see that the approach to hybrid IT might be as simple as sitting down with IT organizations and consulting them and planning with them that what business KPIs are driving us in the direction of hybrid IT. We need to design and take them to hybrid IT landscape. It might be as simple as migrating your few application workloads or the workloads which are elastic in nature to a Google Cloud platform, right? It might be as simple as that. And finally, you are actually deploying it into a cloud. And after that, also you are running it. But the journey will not end there. You have to continuously govern, monitor, and optimize it, because these are, as we see times right now are very, they have a very high degree of variability. Organizations need to be agile because so are the consumers and so is the business competition out there. But I'm going to now present a few use cases for you that how we realized hybrid IT on ground, while we are very flexible, as I showed you, right from what we do bare metal with our customers, still taking them to a DevOps environment like Anthos or a OpenShift based environment on a private cloud, right? So that way, that flexibility we bring in as part of the hybrid IT. We are a managed service provider for Google, and we actually bring in all the capabilities of the Google platform for our customers as a managed service. So it is no more about taking you to a Google Cloud platform. What we do as a partner is, since IT organizations want to consume and leverage the great capabilities what a Google Cloud platform offers, we provide everything as a managed service for our customers, so that they really find their destination and they're able to leverage the destination as one part of their overall hybrid IT strategy. I want to take some quick examples that even hybrid IT, multi-cloud, or the landscapes that we are discussing, how did it benefit? When recently the COVID-19 strike, a lot of organizations which were not using VDI, all the employees had to work from home, and suddenly we saw that a lot of people wanted VDI, and unlike our earlier projects, they wanted it pretty fast, no hardware ordering and no platform deployments to be considered, right? And we observed that by using Ethiopia and in combination with Google Cloud and our managed services, we could bring on ground the assurance of a managed service. We could bring on a very faster time to market for customers who were willing to go for VDI on with us. So you saw that, even hybrid IT itself should be so agile to meet your needs, and then they might be very pressing needs, like we have one on hand, right? Second example, that SAP ERP is always considered a very, very critical architecture, right? What we did is, when I say hybrid IT, I also spoke about not only multi-cloud, but using a variety of infrastructure silos together. What we did at NetMagic, that now 200 plus IT organizations are leveraging our SAP HANA services, which are certified by SAP. We could actually mix and match a TDI infrastructure and appliance infrastructure along with SAP HANA Cloud at our place to give rise to that hybrid IT, which IT organizations could embrace. Now, further you look at it, we have extended it to a SAP on Google Cloud, and you can actually in turn further integrate it with success factors, right? So what you are having in turn is, you're not only focusing on current journey of SAP HANA, which should be as flexible. You want to consume, you might want to start small altogether in SAP HANA Cloud, and you might want to scale, within that, to to your private cloud cluster for SAP HANA, or to TDI, or to appliance, or you can move all together to SAP on GCP and then integrate with SAP success factors. So that's the kind of use cases that we see on hybrid IT, and these are all what I'm talking about is on ground with us. We are already deploying, we are already doing it with customer. Another beautiful example which I bring, sometimes there is a pressing need, you need very high performance for your Oracle databases, or you want to, cover on the licensing. We heard it in the earlier presentation very beautifully. One area that you want to evaluate, how do you protect your investment even into your, infrastructure resources, which might be even a licensing, right? So we have one service called a Simply ODB. You are hosting your Oracle databases at NetMagic. Leveraging might be even a bare metal performance, and you're connecting your application layer to a Google Cloud, right? And you're using your entire application layer plus a plethora of capability as a managed service from Google Cloud using Google Cloud Interconnect, right? Which I'm going to talk about. Right, so this is one of the beautiful use case that using a Google Cloud Interconnect, which is a very high speed, highly available interconnect, and you get all the commitment along with this, which it is very much required to connect your data center resources to a Google Cloud environment. And we actually saw such deployments, and very smoothly you are able to leverage the bare metal performance on one hand and all the capabilities of a Google Cloud on the other hand. So a very, very simple example that how hybrid IT is on ground using Google Interconnect and connecting the two silos of IT infrastructure, communicating with each other at the same time, protecting your investment in your Oracle database licensing, giving you the right kind of performance and scalability at both the ends. Right. Of course, as I mentioned, that hybrid IT should combine other services like managed services, managed services of the Google Cloud platform, for example, the IT infrastructure that you want to consume, and wrap it up with a plethora of security services, which might be as simple as an antivirus to an anti-malware, and you actually upscale it to a UTM firewall or a DDoS protection as well. Right, so we run a 24/7 dedicated security operations center, so that while going into hybrid IT, you can stick to the security compliances that you're looking forward to. Last but not the least, as I said, you should optimize also during the runtime. We bring forth simply insight kind of services where you are, once you're stable in hybrid IT, you are continuously monitoring that. Can you optimize it further? That's the kind of flexibility that you are looking for. So while bringing it on ground, we bring services which can actually further help you give the insights that how do you plan further, how do you stay more lean moving forward. Right, security services is actually, you heard even in the first presentation, I would like to build upon that because that was a very good industry perspective, that you will need to ensure that since you're opening up a channel between two IT infrastructure silos or between two clouds, you have to ensure that you have taken sufficient security services. Right, moving on, one of the aspects which I should actually further tell you, that one of the use cases as well, it has come that while embracing hybrid IT, you need to take care of your business resiliency in terms of a disaster recovery side, or we might call it as an altogether business continuity practice as well. Right, so that's one more aspect that we see, and actually why I'm talking about it is we are delivering it on ground. People are doing DR between different type of clouds. We see people doing their primary in a data center private cloud like ours, and doing a DR on any of the hyperscaler cloud like Google with us. So that's such use cases we see that you need to embrace your business continuity. We spoke about sticking to the policy and compliances. So while even in hybrid IT, we see that our customers are asking us, and that's a very important perspective, because you need to stay compliant even if you're using multiple clouds or multiple IT infrastructure silos. At the end, I would like to conclude that it is not about what we are talking about. You heard one beautiful perspective today. There have to be a challenge. There has to be a challenge, and it will be different from industry to industry to actually embrace hybrid IT. And what I boast of is really, we have actually helped many enterprises from different verticals having different type of needs, evaluating pros and cons differently to actually help meet the IT requirements, hybrid IT requirements of theirs. So I think in the interest of time, that's where I would quickly like to end up and sum up on the hybrid IT. Over to you, Giri. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Girish, for that, for your presentation. We can now address some of the questions posed by the delegates. We have actually a lot of questions, but since we are a bit short of time, so let me choose some questions to ask. So the first question for Tejas is, it's from Nagendra Singh, and the question is how to leverage cloud benefits for a legacy in-house application, which are not designed with cloud in mind. And there's a related question to this from Ashutosh. It's also similar. How does an insurance firm take benefit of the cloud when they have a legacy app which cannot be migrated? So closely connected questions.
Yeah, okay. So whenever you have any legacy application, there is no straight cut answer. Now, one way is that if you move your legacy application as is, which is a lift and shift to the cloud, basically on the infrastructure as a service, while you can do it technically, but then it may not be a sustainable model from the cost perspective for a long term. If this is a legacy application, today or later, if your intention is to go to cloud, today or tomorrow, you'll have to modernize your application. That's a straight answer.
Thank you, Tejas, for a very, I think, blunt observation that there's not much you can do with it, other than rewriting or refactoring the application for the cloud. Yeah, thank you so much. The next question is from Rashmi Patnaik, and the question is, what are the key challenges that one may face when an organization wants to terminate a contract with one cloud service provider and move either to on-prem or to another vendor?
Okay, so once you move to cloud, one needs to look at the detailed legal contracts with these cloud providers. But and it also depends on what type of services you are engaging with. For example, let me take because Google is there. Let me take an example of Google G Suite, which is their messaging and collaboration platform. These platforms, which are again the cloud platform, you don't really sign up for 1 month or 2 months. You would end up signing for 3 months or 3 years or 5 years. At the same time, you might take up certain Google Cloud services like infrastructure services or platform as a services. Infrastructure as a services, I don't see much challenges. You can basically terminate anytime taking out your data. If you talk about the G Suite as an example, which is typically a large sum contract, the contract does provision, does allow you to take your data out of the cloud well within the time before the contract expires. So I don't think so there is any major challenge, but from the legal aspect, but to move from one cloud to other cloud, depending on how much workload are you talking about, what type of systems are you looking, that could be cumbersome, or that could be time consuming and a lot of efforts for your own self. But from the legal angle, I don't think so. I have heard any major issues in any of the cloud provider basically troubling you when you have to take out your data or your systems.
Thank you, Tejas. So the next question is probably for Girish and Romin. You can decide who wants to answer. This question from Priya is, how transparent is the cloud service provider while recommending cost savings? I think this is a point that Tejas had raised in this presentation. And so this is a question for Girish and Romin to answer.
Girish, please, Romin. Romin, you can.
I'll just give a few points, and then maybe Girish, you can share your experience too. So I think as far as transparency is concerned of cloud prices, I can look at it in multiple ways. One is that for each of our services, we do publish what our prices are. We have our calculators. We also let you know if there are any other sort of levers you have to sort of, whether it's a 1 year, a 3 year, or whatever be the other incentives that we may offer. So from that aspect, all the prices of the cloud service providers, even Google or others, are there. What's very important to understand, and maybe if that's what sort of is creating some doubt in your mind, is you also have to make sure that any services that you use today, whether it's even infrastructure or even if it's serverless in nature, please spend some time to understand how the services are used, how they may charge you for the services. And remember, at times you're using multiple other aspects also of the cloud for which you may get charged. So for example, if you're putting in VMs and there is a lot of traffic, do keep in mind there are also, egress costs that could be associated with it. Sometimes people provision a lot more than what they would need for, but then you're charged by that, whether it's storage or maybe even if it's compute. So I would say prices are anyways there for you to take a look at. There are other incentives, other things offered, but do make sure that you understand how it's used, what other services, because that makes up a total cost in terms of what the billing may turn out to be. I'm not going to discuss here other aspects of a total cost that could come up from your organization perspective. Here are some points from my side. Yeah.
So Girish, would you like to add to this? I mean, I think the question was that, cloud services often, service providers often say there will be cost savings, but, how much are you able to promise and deliver?
Correct. So, Giri, I think one aspect really covered by Romin that it has
Yeah, the
now
pricing.
changed,
Yeah.
in cloud aspect, it has to be very transparent. The prices are published. What will be chargeable is also published. But, you should refer Mr. Tejas' presentation that you should actually clearly know that while crafting your strategy, that will help you from a transparency perspective. It is available. Second, in my presentation, I covered even during the runtime, we have moved one step ahead. We use services like Simply Inside, where you can analyze that maybe you have subscribed to higher resources but you are not actually consuming them. We suggest such optimization to further trim down your runtime costs as well. So I think from that perspective, I think the degree of transparency has increased and it has gone like much beyond to a partnering approach.
Thanks, Kirish. I think that's useful that you have a service which allows you to dynamically analyze, usage and then maybe recommend to the customer as to how they can optimize their costs. So I think that's useful. There's another question for you from Rashmi, which says if an organization wants to implement SAP HANA, then is it advisable to take the SAP cloud service or take the service of other cloud providers who can provide HANA database?
Right. So I think that's a very very difficult question because SAP HANA is
That's why
a
it's being
SAP
asked to
product.
you.
Yeah, so SAP HANA is a SAP product. So SAP Cloud Services, I will say that from an Indian perspective, they are still finding the right value because Indian customers are very cost conscious, and at the same time, I say that we should be proud of it because we are value conscious. We want to drive that. I often say in the rough words that we are that type of people. Jo last mein sukha puri bhi we don't leave, right, when we go to eat pani puri. So we are that much value conscious people. So it's very much imperative that in India, I find that the SAP cloud services from the cloud service providers are doing very well with the IT organizations out there. I'm myself having 200 plus SAP HANA deployments, and that actually gives me a venue that we are able to bring right value from an Indian customer's perspective who are more value conscious, to be precise.
Yeah, and if I can add just a point or two to this, eventually, once you get your workloads onto the cloud, also take a slightly longer term view in terms of what other services of the platform you could tap into for the new kind of applications you may want to bring and that kind of insights and value it may bring to your line of business app. So think a little bit from that perspective. Also, what other services of the platform once you're there. I'm not trying to sell more services here, but it's all about tapping into other ones to make your current apps better, as well as newer ways to analyze, slice, dice data, and visualize. Just a thought.
Thanks, Romin. So, Romin, there is a question for you, for both you and Tejas. And this is to ask about hybrid clouds, whether this kind of an architecture can be used by a financial organization like a stock exchange, which is time sensitive. This question is from Shankar Jadhav. So
I'll try to answer that question. So because I worked with the with broking firm, as I said, yes, the answer to your question is very much yes. And in fact, we used to run a similar architecture. I used to be part of India Infra Group, which is now, of course, diversified into a lot of financial services, but basically a brokerage firm. And we used to actually run a similar architecture where our key databases, critical databases of the broking business were in-house, which was an on-prem. But all our web servers and other stuff were on the public cloud. And of course, then there is an integration between public cloud and private cloud. So this is very much doable.
Robin, if you would like to add something from the GCP perspective.
No, I think it's Mr. Tejas covered it well. We've also seen many hybrid, sort of combinations of this sort. At times, they've even used, GCP as a way to do a backup or DR scenarios for other services. So yes, we've seen hybrid combinations for both things where there is a significant amount of burst needed at times, or where due to compliance reasons you have to keep few workloads on premise on cloud. So yes, there is a wide variety of use cases that we are seeing, and it's all coming down to hybrid scenario. The organization makes a choice when they want to use it, how they want to do it in a phased manner, So yes, it's not like a one big approach, but a hybrid will let you make use of the best also that the cloud has to offer. Again, depends on your use case. But yes, the possibility, and we are seeing increasing use of this model. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So I think we're sort of running out of time. So, just one last question. And I think there is a great deal of interest on, how to optimally leverage hybrid cloud computing. Is there some kind of a tool that is available to sort of compare different aspects, on-prem versus cloud services versus, doing it in a hybrid fashion? Can you offer some advice on this? Is there a modeling tool available from Google or anyone else?
See, in my experience, there are definitely a variety of tools that let you first understand what you're running on premise, because that's very important. Let's understand first what you have running. What are some of the dependencies that you have among your applications? What are some of the security requirements, the aspects, all of that nature. Then it's all about, at times they give you a bit of cost assessment that, okay, if you're running these things on premise and you have to run it on other cloud providers, what it's going to cost you. So it's all about looking at some of those assessment reports, doing a comparison. Again, remember, it's not sometimes just saying that I can move anything also. So various factors come in play. There are tools that do pre-migration to the cloud assessment, even post, they help you do some recommendations, right sizing, so on and so forth. So I don't think it's like a one-time activity. Yes, one-time activity could be depending upon the current outcome which you want, but otherwise it's a consistent evaluation, seeing where things are and how you want to use. Multiple tools definitely are there which let you assess both on-premise, cloud, cloud cost comparators, much more. But we'll have to see what precisely you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, thanks, Romin. I think that was very informative, and I would encourage everybody to connect with Girish and Romin. They can definitely offer you a lot more advice on this. We have unfortunately run out of time, and so we would like to bring a close to this session. I would like to thank Tejas Mehta, Girish Sharma, and Romin Irani for taking the time to be here and sharing their thoughts and views on the subject of accelerating the journey to the cloud. But before we conclude this session, one very important thing, let's have the winners of the quiz. Can we have the list up, please? Okay, you have there on your screen the list of winners of the quiz that we sent out earlier. My congratulations to all the winners. Your gift voucher of rupees 500 will be emailed to you shortly. But for those who did not get the prize in this quiz, please don't lose heart. We have another opportunity for you to receive a gift. We have a JBL Bluetooth headset for everyone who fills out and returns the feedback form that will be emailed to you. So please do fill the form and return it and to get this gift. So thank you once again, Mr. Tejas Mehta, Girish Sharma, and Romin Irani. On behalf of CIO Leader, I also thank all the delegates for their interest in this session and for their very active participation. My apologies if your question didn't get taken up. We'll be sure to have someone get back to you with the answers to your questions. We look forward to being in touch and hosting you for another session soon. Thank you and goodbye.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Tejas. Thanks for your incisive views.
Bye.
Really appreciate your time.
All
Thank
those
you, Girish. Thank you, Romin.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Prasanjit. Thank you.